You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 66. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Happy New Year, friends. Welcome back. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. We wrapped up 2020 talking about my morning routine and how I got my kids involved. And since celebrating the new year usually involves creating goals and plans for the year ahead, I thought it would be great to have a routine expert on the show. Ashley Brown is the owner of Routine and Things and helps women create routines in their lives that enable them to have more time, more peace, and get more done. We are talking about the most important routines you can create for yourself and why you need them. I also ask Ashley what routines women come to her for help the most on, and her answers shouldn't surprise any of you. Let's start this new year right and get more done. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here chatting with you today.
Oh, I can't wait because I am such a type A person that talking about routines is my jam. So can you please introduce yourself to everyone?
Yes. So I'm Ashley Brown. I'm a mama of two beautiful girls. They are my heart, my angels, ages 3 and 1. And they're getting big. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just stay small, just stay small. Even though sometimes I'm like, I wish y'all were a little bit older. But I'm trying to savor the moments that we have now. And so we reside in Baltimore, Maryland. And I love Baltimore. Even though I'm a Southern girl, I am from South Carolina originally, born and raised in South Carolina. And so anything that you think about a Southern belle is somewhat me, even though I can get a little bit feisty at times. But yes, so from South Carolina, but we reside in Baltimore currently. I am also a nurse educator. I teach nursing students, of course, which I love teaching. It is one of my passions because I love seeing people go from where they are to where they want to be, which is so funny because that's partly, I feel like I'm saying partly, but that's really the entire reason why I have the business Routine and Things, which is my heart. And I love helping women in this way. And so I am an entrepreneur. Business is Routine and Things. And I got started with that really from this huge transition that I made and this huge shift that I made in my life about 2.5 years ago. I was teaching nursing then, like 2.5 years ago. I dropped down to 1 day a week and came home to be a stay-at-home mom. And I stayed at home for about 2 years. And that transition, oh my gosh, it was so rough. And I did not expect it to be because it's like for many of us, we do have this dream of like being able to come home, stay at home with our children. Especially if you're a mom, it's like, okay, I would love to be able to do that for many of us. And so when I came home, I've had that like elated feeling like, oh my gosh, I get to do this because I never thought I would. I didn't know anyone that was a stay-at-home mom. And so I thought it was going to be easier than being a working mom. And that was a total slap in my face because it was not. It was not at all. It was very rough because I felt like I had this identity shift. Like I was a working woman, came home to be with my one daughter at the time and quickly found out I was pregnant after. But came home to be with her. And I just felt like my identity was like, what am I doing here? Like I'm at home and I'm cooking and I'm cleaning and my daughter is sitting in front of the TV, but I feel like I can't keep up with anything. The laundry is piling up. What's going on here? And so I felt very fragmented, very just like I couldn't keep things together in my home and I didn't feel good within myself. And it got to a point where I got majorly depressed. It got to that extent. And I remember one day just waking up and being like, you know what, Ashley, you have to do something different here, and I'm a huge like God girl. So I have a very strong faith. And so I prayed about it. And I feel like God said, lean into who you are. And so, like you, Michelle, I'm type A. I freaking thrive in routine. Like that's how I manage my life. And it's a beautiful thing. And so I leaned into that and I started to be really intentional because I wasn't as intentional before. And I started to be really intentional about my routines. And after some time, I started to feel much more peace in my life. I started to feel like, you know what, I have a handle on this. I can rock this stay at home mom thing, which is so funny. By the time I really settled with that and was feeling super good, I ended up going back to work. So it's so funny how that happens. So I just feel like really God was like, this is where you need to be in terms of this business, because that's why I started routining things, is because I really was like, I need to help moms with managing life, and routines I feel like is the way that they can do this. And so that's how the business got started and how I do the work that I do, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, because it's not all soap operas and bonbons.
Oh, no.
Like, I don't get the TV to myself at all. And there's always something that's going on, whether it's the laundry, the grocery shopping, the cooking, the cleaning, the feeding the children, there's constant work to be done. So being a stay-at-home mom is, oh my goodness, it takes a lot out of you. And I think that routines and structure just create predictability. And to me, it's something that's great for everybody involved in the house. Last week, I talked on the podcast about the morning routine that I created for myself. But then when my son started school in the fall, I created a routine for them with checklists of, you got to make your bed, you got to have breakfast, and you have to have this routine all down. And it's great because nobody argues. Nobody says, what do you mean I have to brush my hair? What do you mean I have to brush my teeth? It's on the checklist. You go look at it, you get it done, and then it's time for school. So that's why I love routine. I'm probably too much routine, like taking a shower. It's the same thing every time I take a shower.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same route to go home and go to the grocery store. But as we start this new year, I want to get into what kind of routines people should be creating for themselves to really jumpstart their goals, whether it's personal life, business. What are the best routines that someone can create?
Yes. No, this is a really awesome question. And of course, I'm going to bring it back, of course, to anyone listening and to challenge you to think about, what are your values? Like, what are you valuing in this season, in this moment? It's just kind of like we think about every year. I feel like for many of us, like the word of the year. And so like last year, my word of the year was investment. And so I say, think about that for this year. And like, even in this season, you can even think about it in first quarter of the year. What is your intention? What is that word? And can you then create a routine that aligns with that intention? Can you then create a routine that's going to bring forward that value? And that can be really hard even when I say that, because you might be like, Ashley, I have a bunch of intentions. I have a bunch of things that I want to focus on. But I'm going to share with you 5 routine categories that I share all the time that can help you to give you a starting point, essentially. And so those 5 routine categories you can think about are cooking, cleaning, children, self-care, and planning. And from those categories, when you think about what your intention is, which category you feel like you can create a routine from. So for example, maybe your word is home. Maybe that's a huge intention for you, home, right? And so maybe you're like, a cleaning routine might be great to help you to focus on home and to make home feel better for you. And so what in that cleaning category, what type of routine can you create? Maybe it's a laundry routine. Maybe it's a kitchen routine. Maybe it's a tidy routine. And then, starting with one routine. That's a major thing too, is always starting with at least one routine so that you don't overwhelm yourself. But that can just give you a starting point as to which routines are important. And I chose these 5 categories, especially if they apply to you, because I feel as if these are the things that we're doing either on a daily basis or on a weekly basis that helps to keep us focus and helps to keep our home and our life running smoothly. And so that's why I think these 5 categories can be really great for you.
And what would you say about, like, I think about the self-care routine, and I really have issue with creating something around that. I can clean the house, no problem. I can do the laundry. But for me, self-care, like my daughter said to me this morning, it was kind of cute. She said, for Christmas, I want to get you one of those green masks, 2 cucumbers, and the bathtub. And that's what I'm going to give you for Christmas. Obviously, we're recording this earlier. And I thought it was the cutest thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I really want that for Christmas.
Oh my gosh, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. And so that self-care, I would say, because I think, of course, you're not alone, Michelle. And I remember being that way as well, as like, I can do everything for everybody else, but like, I'm the last person that I'm thinking about. And that was huge for me, especially in that realm of being a stay-at-home mom, until I had to shift my mentality and really think about, but am I able to really be my best self if I'm not caring for myself? And I had to really dig into why it was super important to care for me, and what value did I see in that, and what were the tangible ways in which I could see, touch, or feel like that made me think, you know what, this is important. So like, caring for myself made me not be so snappy with my girls. Like, caring for myself allows me to feel happier in my body, happier in my skin. It allows me to have a better relationship with my friends, with my partner. Like, that is really important. And those are of huge values to me. And so I think it's about, even when it comes to self-care, thinking about, why is it super necessary for you, digging deep and recognizing, even in your day to day, how are you feeling? Are you feeling like your best self? And if not, you can make changes towards that. You have all the power to do that. And starting small can be a great way. Just like your daughter said, like the mask and cucumber, like that's a small action that you can take. And you never know. After you do that mask and have those cucumbers on your eyes, you might be like, I want to do something else. So that is just one thing I wanted to share, is like, start small and just know that you do have the power to feel the way you want to feel, and care for yourself.
It's really the bathtub part that I want. I give myself masks and it scares them. So I've got that part down. When we talk about routines and starting small, like, where do you start? Let's say somebody needs help with their, house cleaning routine. I'll give you myself for an example. I started taking every Friday off months ago. And every other Friday, I actually dedicate to cleaning the house. And I get it done within a few hours. And to be honest with you, that's one thing I'd love to outsource. But
Yeah.
since we've had COVID, I'm not having anyone inside the house. So I've just done it myself. And I'm like, oh, few hours and wham, bam, it's done. But where do you start with that? Is that something that you should start implementing, a little bit each day and that kind of a routine? Or should you do like a big deep cleaning once a month? What kind of routines should you set up for success when it comes to something like that?
I think it all depends on, this is a really tough question, because it really all depends on what type of person you are. So I know for me, I'm like what type of woman am I? I'm like a go big or go home, get it all done now. Like, I'm like like, yes, like if I'm
Yeah.
going to clean, I'm going to do a massive clean, and then I'm not going to do it again for 2 weeks. Like, I'm right. That's my style though. And that works for me because, one, I have the time to do it. And two, I just want to not touch something for 2 weeks. But for some people, that is super overwhelming. And so I would say, if you're the type of person where it does overwhelm you to be like, oh, I'm going to just clean every week and I have to take out my time to do this cleaning for a few hours. I don't really want to do that. Then you could have a routine where it is chunked out into smaller type of cleaning. So maybe you clean a bathroom on one day, and maybe you clean the refrigerator on another day, or maybe you do the laundry on that third day. It can be chunked out into smaller segments. And so I really think it depends on your personality. And that's why I always say to anyone and women that I work with is don't compare yourself to other people. You can have and gain inspiration from other people and be inspired by others, but you want to think about what type of person are you, and also which type of routines are going to align with, how you flow and how you naturally move in your life. And so that's really important to think about. But I would say if you're kind of on the fence, I would say break out your routine and start small. Like even if it's you want to start a home cleaning routine, because I do like this home refresh routine, and I do that every single Monday, and it's super quick. I can get it done in like an hour. It's super quick, but it's because I've been doing it for a while. But you can start very small and be like, okay, if I want to do a home refresh routine every single week on like a Monday, then maybe just start with your bathrooms and start cleaning those every Monday. And then once you got a feel for that and you're like, okay, I'm good to go with that. That takes me no time. Then you can probably add on cleaning out the refrigerator and microwave to that, or vacuuming. Like just like small steps, little by little, add into that routine until you have that full home refresh routine and you're good to go, because it may be a lot for you if you're starting and doing all of the rooms all in one day. So that's what I would say about that.
And I would also suggest, if you have children, to enlist them to help you.
Yes.
Mine are 4 and 5, and they love the Swiffer duster. So they dust the entire house, and we've got some windows they can reach. So I will put Windex on a paper towel, and they will clean those.
Yes.
So use your people.
Yes. I mean, are you kidding me? Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. Yes, use your people. They are there. And if they can help you, oh my gosh, my girls help me too. They are always cleaning up their toys or cleaning up things. I'm like, can you give me the dishes off the table? She's only 3, but I'm like, can you hand mommy the dishes off the table? Like, I'm always having them help, because they're going to get into a routine of being clean and being able to tidy and do things for themselves. And that is a beautiful thing. So yes, enlist help.
Absolutely. Now, when women come to you, is there something that really stands out? Like they all want the same thing? Or is there one kind of routine that they're all just itching to get your help on?
Yes. Yes. The major ones are usually cleaning and self-care, but I would say
I didn't even know that. And we've been talking about that. That's awesome.
yes, always. And I feel like self-care takes like the top though, and then cleaning is right under that. Self-care is like a big thing. And I'm always like, oh no, like, yes, girl, let's work on this, because caring for yourself is so important. Because like we know, especially as moms, when we focus on everybody else, especially our kids. And then at the end of the day, we have this minimal time for us. And many times it's like we're trying to get done cleaning or preparing for the next day. And that doesn't leave much time for us. So I'm always like, prioritize yourself first. Like if you can start to add to your routine, prioritizing yourself first and putting something on the list for you first in your day, that could help you to shift that mindset of caring for everybody else first and you last. So yeah, like that's the major one, is self-care routines. And those are things like that you can create, like morning routine, bedtime routine. You can have like a movement routine, which a lot of people call exercise routine. And you can have a skincare routine, hair care routine. It's so many, it can even be a routine that doesn't have a name. You just name it yourself and you care for you, but you can create that. And it's so important as a mom and just as a woman in general, to have space to care for ourselves. So important.
And what does that look like when someone comes to you and says, I need to work on my self-care. I need to implement more time for me to work out and more time to just kind of unwind, relax, meditate, whatever it is. Where do you start?
I usually ask them to designate a time that they want to care for themselves, that is like the first starting point, because usually people know why they want to care for themselves, even though I still like to dig deeper into why it's really important for them. And so usually people know why, and many times they know how they want to care for themselves in a sense. And so I'm really good at speaking to women about, when will you create this time? When will you make the time? And can you think about that designated time frame? Because that's what's going to usually come up when they start this routine. Is the timing right? Do I actually have the time in the morning to care for myself? Do I actually have time in the evening to care for myself? And when am I going to be able to do this consistently? Right? Because that's the main part of this. Is routines give you that consistency, but only if you're doing them. And even if you have flexibility in your days and you have different schedules day to day, is it any time frame where it's going to stay pretty much the same in your day to day, where you can care for yourself? And so that's usually the starting point, is when can you do this? Because that's usually going to come up. And also, I think one thing to share here as well is boundaries are a very huge thing when it comes to routines as well. And I just did a podcast episode on this and recorded a podcast episode on this, because I don't think that we sometimes realize how important having boundaries is when it comes to like continuing to do our routines, especially when it comes to self-care, because your values always want to be in the forefront. If you're saying, I value myself and I value time to actually care for me and love on me, then are you doing that consistently? And are you actually creating that time? Because the time isn't going to come to us. We have to create it and do it for ourselves. But that's the first starting point, is when are you actually doing this routine? If we can find that block of time, then that's usually more success for that woman when it comes time for her to implement the routine.
And then I'm sure you have clients who say, oh, I don't have time. Like, there is no more time. I am maxed out. And so you're telling them they need to create a mindset shift of, well, what is your priority? You have to make that time, because we all have 24 hours in the day.
Yeah.
It's up to each of us what we want to do with it, and treat those hours and minutes. What do you tell someone who says, I just don't have any time, Ashley? I'm spent.
I call BS, to be perfectly honest. I really do.
Yes.
I call BS because the challenge that I always say is, do a time inventory, because you have the time. Because like you said, we all have this designated time in our day. And of course, our lives look completely different one person to the next. But if you take a time inventory of like even one of your days, like a standard day you have, and you actually write down every day, like every minute, every hour you do something, what are you doing? I promise you, you will probably have a few hours that you see, oh, I thought about something for way too long, because you didn't plan for it, or because you didn't prepare in advance. You weren't proactive. Or I did something for this person, even though I really didn't have to, or I really didn't even want to. And I ended up doing it for this person anyway, right? Even though it might not have been like a dire need, I ended up putting my time into someone else. So I promise you, you have the time, and you can create the time to care for yourself. It is definitely possible. And so if you can take your mindset and shift it to, I actually do have the time. When you can change your mindset, you can start to see the result of what your mind is telling you. So if you keep telling yourself you don't have the time, you're not going to have the time, and you're not going to create the time. But once you make that mindset shift to be like, you know what? I do actually have the time, or I'm going to create the time. You will start to see time pop up and be like, where did this even come from? So that's what I share there. Just call in BS and know that you have the time. You can create it, because something in your day may have to go. And sometimes we don't want to part with things, because we get so accustomed to how we move and flow in life that sometimes it's hard for us to part with certain things. But it's important for you to really question, is your actions and the things that you're doing really in alignment with what you truly want for your life? And if not, stop doing them and create more time for yourself.
Yes. I interviewed Kate Christie. She's the author of Me First, and she helps women find like 30 hours a month, I think it was. It was something ginormous. And it's exactly what you're saying. And then she takes it even a step further of when it comes to doing things like cleaning your house, how many hours does that take you? And then you go through this whole worksheet of what your hourly salary is. And you take that
Mhm.
and then you apply if I hire someone to clean my house, what does that come out to? Oh, it's actually cheaper for me to hire someone than for me to spend that many hours on it. And there you go. Now you have 3 hours back.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, I'm a huge fan of outsourcing. We can't do it as much now, but whenever we get back to being able to do that a little bit more smoothly and safely, yes, I am a huge fan of that outsource. Like even like for my daughter's hair, because I usually do not do my daughter's hair, and that was taking out time for me. I was like, mm-mm. So now their cousin does their hair, and I pay her some money to do their hair, and that is beautiful. Gives me back time.
That's like me having to cut 3 people's hair now every few weeks. I can't wait for salons to open back up.
Right.
My arms are so tired. I don't know how hairstylists do it, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I feel you there. So what do you say about, we're talking about starting the new year with the new routines, but I actually last year created some new routines in the middle of the year. So do you think there's a good time or a better time, or just create the routine when you notice in your life that you need some more structure, you need to prioritize different things?
Yes, right. What you just said, like create routines when you feel as if you're feeling like, for example, if you're feeling as if life is unmanageable or it's starting to get a bit too chaotic, that is an indication, that is a red flag that something needs to change. And if you know you can create a routine that's going to help you, which 10 times out of 10, you can create a routine that's going to help you, then do it. It doesn't matter which time of the year it is. It can be January, it can be September, it can be December, right? Like it doesn't matter, because the thing about it is you're going to have this just like this steady pace of like starting that routine and trying to transition and adjust to that routine. So there's no need to wait around. It's never going to be the right time to start a routine. Never. So go ahead and start it, because if you know that this is going to help to decrease your stress, it's going to help you focus better in whatever you're doing, whether that's home, business, life, it doesn't matter. If it's going to allow you to work smarter, not harder, which they will allow you to do that, then start it, because that's going to help you manage life with way more ease. And I also want to share that it's important for you to understand when it comes to creating routines, trial and error is okay. Like, I want to put that out there, because sometimes we can think, oh, I want to start this routine and it has to go just right. It has to go perfectly. And trust me, I am like a recovering perfectionist. I have worked very hard on my mindset to try to change that about myself and to move more so into it's about progress and not so much perfection. So know that trial and error is okay. And it's actually expected when you are starting a new routine, because everything isn't going to pan out the way that you wrote it down on your paper or thought about it in your head. So you have to start. And then if you need to tweak it and change your routine, then you can do that. But yeah, it's never going to be a best time to start a routine. It's just start the routine, and that time that you start it is the right time for you.
Oh, I love that. Can you please share with everyone how they can find you so they can start creating routines and getting more peace back into their lives, please?
Yes, yes. So you can find me primarily. I'm on Instagram at Routine and Things. That's where I hang out the most. So you can definitely follow me there. I would love to see you around. And also check out the podcast that I have, Routine and Things podcast, especially if you're looking for routine inspiration. I have a bunch of episodes you could binge all about routines and mindset things that will really help you with your routines as well. And so that's where you can find me. And also our website, routineandthings.com, where I have a bunch of tools there to help you with your routines as well.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I really loved having you on. And as I said, my type A personality is like so giddy. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Okay, who else is ready to go create a routine and find more time in your day? My goal for 2021 is to work on my self-care routine. And for me, that means more exercise and more downtime. which sounds like an oxymoron, but I'm going with it. I want each of you to feel more ease in your day, and I truly believe that routines help you do this. I'd love to hear what routines you're working on, so drop me a note in my DMs or send me an email, and let's exchange some of our best practices. I'm so excited to start this new year with all of you and to make changes in our lives that will help our futures. Happy New Year to all of you, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy.